time. We welcome everyone to today's hearing on California fires and the consequences of overregulation. We have a lot of members that will be waving on today. Without objection, Mr. McClintock, Mr. Kiley, Mr. Biggs, Mr. Liu, Mr. Swalwell, Ms. Kamler Dove, and Mr. Moskowitz will be permitted to participate in today's hearing for the purposes of questioning the witnesses. If a member yields them time for that purpose, I will now recognize myself for an opening statement. Earlier this year, Southern California was hit with tragedy as fires, exasperated by strong Santa Ana winds, engulfed large sections of Los Angeles. California Department of Forestry and Fire Management reports that the ongoing wildfires have burned more than 57,000 acres, destroyed 16,000 structures, and tragically caused the death of 28 individuals. These fires are not a new occurrence. Wildfires have been plaguing Southern California for hundreds of years. An abundant forest and shrubland, coupled with a relatively dry climate and strong coastal winds, increase the risk and prevalence of fires. Given the heightened threat environment, one would think California would prioritize mitigation efforts to reduce the number and the strength of fires. Unfortunately, California leaders have insisted and instead prioritized often counterproductive goals like planting trees, installing electric vehicle charging stations, over-equipping their communities and first responders with the tools they need to protect their citizens and livelihoods. Unfortunately, this thinking has resulted in decades of overregulation that have left Californians more vulnerable to wildfires. For example, the state's increase of lawsuits brought by environmental groups under the California Environmental Quality Act, known as CEQA, has delayed proper forest management projects, such as controlled burns, timber harvesting, or brush clearing. It has also given rise to sue and settle litigation where environmental activists sue regulators for the purposes of imposing a friendly settlement agreement. Meanwhile, the California Coastal Commission has near dictatorial powers to approve or deny any project along the 840-mile coastline. This muscle was flexed in 2019 when the LA Department of Water and Power attempted to replace wooden power lines in the Pacific Palisades area with steel. They also tried to widen fire lanes and install fire-resistant power lines. But the Coastal Commission put the project to a halt and ordered Water and Power to pay a nearly $2 million fine due to the discovery of an endangered plant in the vicinity of the project. Governor Newsom rightfully waived the requirements of the CEQA and the Coastal Act to spare fire victims the burdensome permitting and review requirements as they rebuild their homes. But waiving the requirements exposes the very cumbersome nature of these regulations. Contributing to this crisis is the elected California State Insurance Commissioner, who routinely has chosen to put artificial price caps on insurance rates. This has led to decades of stagnant insurance premiums as there an obvious political incentive to oppose rate hikes, and has caused insurers to pause issuing new policies or leave the state entirely. It has also caused more reliance on the state's insurers of last resort, the California Fair Plan. According to the LA Times, and insurance companies that are leaving the state, and the Fair Plan has been seen as a policy that could count and grow for as little as 200,000 in 2020 to more than 450,000 as of September 2024. Taken together, these regulations have fueled the frequency and strength of wildfires in California. State and local leaders have also deprioritized fire prevention in their budgets. LA Mayor Karen Bass, for example, approved a budget for 2024 that cut more than $17 million from the LA Fire Department. Governor Newsom similarly reduced funding for numerous fire safety and prevention programs in the state budget, including $101 million reduction for wildfire and fire resilient programs. I'm sure you can buy a lot of EV charging stations for $100 million. Today, we will hear from a panel of experts who have been preaching for years to stop appeasing the environmental activists and begin implementing adequate water and forest management policies. It's my hope that these witnesses will be prepared to offer recommendations that state and federal lawmakers may use to protect California from future fires. Absent real regulatory reform in the state, I fear history is tragically bound to repeat itself. I now recognize Ranking Member Mr. Nadler